So a lot of these slides come from our more advertising side. My job at Tumblr is really editorial. I just work with authors and publishers, libraries, bookstores, nonprofits on best practices and audience reaching. But just to give you an idea, brands are a very positive part of the Tumblr experience. Notes are the word we use for likes and reblogs. So that's really essential to the whole network, right? Is you click one button and you reblog something. So you might put up a post about your new book and you have 2 followers, but one of them is me. And I go, oh wow, that sounds like a really great book, and I hit reblog. And now my entire rather large audience of book people are seeing that post, and then anyone who decides to hit reblog on that one, all of their audience is seeing a post. So this is just a really sort of literal manifestation of my larger point, which is that your audience now has an audience, right? So the people who are buying and reading your books also have people reading what they have to say and looking at the videos that they've made or the reviews they've written or the fan art they've created. It's also important to note how big a part of our community reblogging is, and it's a really personal form of endorsement. And so a lot of the kind of vitriolic comments that people worry about on a lot of internet platforms are just not like that on Tumblr, because you can't really drive by anonymously and be like, this book sucks, because you're in here sort of as yourself. When I reblog something, it's going to be the top thing on Fershleiser.com. So why would I want to give the space to something I don't love, first of all? And if I'm being mean, then I look bad. So the other thing is that reblogs keep your posts moving. On a lot of social platforms, it's like very immediate, and if someone doesn't see something in the first few moments, they might never see it. Tumblr Dash does move chronologically, but because things get reblogged into new positions in the Dash all the time, content keeps going for a really long time. So a third of reblogs are 30 days after. And more people will reblog from someone who reblogged from you than even from your initial post. Those of you who are active on Tumblr will have noticed that sometimes this is like the worst, because you have one Batman post that goes really huge and then you can't see anything else in your Dash because it's just like notes and notes and notes for years. Also, sometimes it spikes. Like I had a 4th of July manicure, that happens over here, but and like every year on the 4th of July, suddenly it gets reblogged a whole bunch, like for years. And so similar things like in book series, when the author's back in the news or something, you'll see your content kind of resurfacing. And a lot of things get posted to Tumblr and then shared outward onto other platforms as well. We have social examples there, but it's also like, we talk all the time about like stuff that people are doing on Reddit or every post on BuzzFeed, or like everyone is sourcing their content from Tumblr. You can too. This is from a TV study, which I think is pretty similar in terms of a lot of our big book launches now are like any other kind of entertainment launch, where people are doing a bunch of sharing on Tumblr that then shares out other places. We also had a study recently that said that 48% of Tumblr users respond to consuming a piece of art by creating something. And so that means, the fan fiction and fan art that we've all sort of finally begun talking about, but also about things just like writing a quick post. I just saw this amazing movie, don't find out what happens, just watch it. Or people doing their nail art or matching their outfit to the book cover or trying a recipe that appeared in a book. A lot of this sort of just integrating the stories into their everyday lives. So these are more formal statistics, but then these are the kinds of brands that the rest of the team in Tumblr is focused on. And my brands are more like this. So the kinds of brands that I'm talking about are big publishers, as well as authors, librarians, book reviewers, journalists. This is the Penguin Random House corporate Tumblr in the US. And I love it because it's a huge brand. It's totally like official and it has authority, but it also has a great voice. It's funny and silly and sociable. And the person running it feels like a person. And sometimes she'll put up a children's drawing of a penguin, or if there's a John Cleese book, then suddenly you've got license to put up like every video that's gonna make everybody laugh. So taking the books that you're promoting and kind of pulling out all the threads of them, whether it's like a literary theme or whether it's like a famous person who's funny, they're all sort of on your beat now to share with your audience. And maybe someone follows you because they liked your John Cleese post, but then it's gonna show up in their dashboard when you have other books to talk about. So you're just growing your audience a little at a time over a long period. Chronicle Books is a great visual publisher, and they only have one Tumblr presence that kind of pulls together like their cookbooks and their craft books. There's a makeup guide that's really popular, like a lot of how-to stuff, but also YA literature and illustrators. And it's just a way of sort of reaching out into all these different communities. So your waffle post might end up on fuck yeah breakfast foods. And whereas your like how to do eye makeup post might end up on beauty bloggers. So it's just a way to reach out, because Tumblr's 210 million blogs. They're not really one community, although we always say the Tumblr community, right? There are many, many subcultures and subcommunities, and different ones of your books are gonna wanna reach different people. Penguin Teen is really popular in the US. This blog is very much in the voice of, if not a teen, at least certainly a YA fan. We know that's not really the same thing. And it's genuine excitement. The trailer is up for If I Stay, or oh my God, we just got galleys in of the new Maureen Johnson book, and we're like freaking out. Just sharing out that kind of excitement with the audience. This is Finishing School, which is a series of books about a finishing school for girls that makes them proper young ladies who know how to kill. Very, very popular on Tumblr. It reaches to a couple of different things. Certainly the YA series kind of thing, but also kind of badass girl power and steampunk and these vintage illustrations. So very popular in a bunch of different communities. And this is the kind of thing where the brand is not the publisher, it's a sub-brand. But it continues straight through, and it might spike during each book launch, but it's collecting more and more followers over time, so that each book launch can be bigger than the one before. Similarly, the Lemony Snicket blog is not really a personal author Tumblr, it's more of a publisher-run branding effort. But it just collects fans of all his different projects over time, so that when there's a new one, you have the exact right audience for it. And that's something that I'm really focused on. I feel like today I've been hearing a lot of people talking about, 50 Shades of Grey, The Hunger Games, The Fault in Our Stars, and like, yes, we all need these giant blockbusters to keep us going. But to me, the promise of the internet is not how big it is, but rather how specific it is, how targetable it is. And so when I started in book publicity 10 years ago, you had to get on the Today Show or Oprah or put up a billboard and hope that like 1% of the people who saw it might actually care. And what you're able to do here is reach out specifically to the people who want to hear from you. So maybe that's Lemony Snicket fans, or maybe it's my favorite weird book, the How to Make Gourmet Organic Dog Food in Your Kitchen for Your Dog, which is like not a general interest topic, but the people who want it know that they want it. So you go find the cook your own organic dog food people, and every single one of them wants a copy of that book. So I think it actually gives you an opportunity to publish things maybe smaller or more obscure or more specific than you might have been able to before, because you can go square into that audience. Neil Gaiman runs a personal site. He's just one of these examples of someone who's like a huge brand in and of himself. He answers questions on his blog. He's super available. He also posted about the Hot Key Books YA contest, and that is where Katie Coyle, who won it last time, saw the post originally. So that was just like a crazy thing to see come out of our community and yours. And that's the kind of thing that we're looking for all the time, right? We're a place where millions of creative people are coming together to find opportunities. And anytime we can take like people's heroes and the aspiring amateurs and smash them all together into one community, great things are gonna come out. This is Rainbow Rowell's blog, and she has just blown up over the last year or two, but she's actually been in the Tumblr community for much longer than that. Her blog was mostly a fan blog for Harry Potter and Star Wars and Star Trek. If you go to the fan art tag on her site, it's about half fan art of her books, like by her fans, and half fan art of her being a fan of other things. And so that to me is kind of the perfect Tumblr sweet spot. And any presence on Tumblr has got to be kind of a mix of sharing the work that you're creating and being a fan of other work as well. And that's what we mean. I think that the word community can get overused to just mean like user base, and I don't think you really have a community if people aren't talking to each other without you stoking it all the time. And what I love about the Tumblr community is it's genuinely like a bookstore talking to an author, and then when that author replies, then a local bookstore reblogs it, and then a library says, oh, we've got that in stock, here's where to reserve it. So you've got these conversations happening all the time, and all you need to do is pull a seat up to the table. Do I have a few minutes? One more minute. Okay, we're gonna go real quick. We all know about John Green, so I won't get too much into it, but let's just say for this one Tumblr that he runs, On the right there is a very small sampling of the fan blogs entirely dedicated to his work. This is long before Fault in Our Stars. This is Drizzle Rain People Rain Drizzle Hurricane. This is a fan blog that posts new fan art every single day of one sentence from one book from 2005. And the lesson of all this John stuff is not that John is famous, like we all got that. The idea is like, there are people coming up all the time growing these smaller communities online that you may or may not be attuned to yet, and like, these are the audiences that you can reach right into. You can make these people feel so awesome for being on the early tip of something wonderful, right? So your first 5 fans and their first 5 fans are gonna build the base for a career going forward. This is a bunch of fan art from the Tumblr book club community. I love that quilt because the post beneath it was like, I wasn't really that into this book. I thought it was only okay. I made a quilt. And that's like the level of passion and engagement and creativity we are seeing in this network. We've got tons of authors, not just YA, not just series. We've got literary novelists and controversial political essayists. There's really a sub-community for every kind of book and every kind of writer. We've got big publishers, small publishers. I'm gonna go so fast now. Literary magazines, local bookstores, libraries, people reacting to the big publisher presences. So someone saw it fit to tweet just because a HarperCollins Tumblr liked his post. That was like such a special day. Seeing a favorite writer join Tumblr was like finding out there's a free mobile margarita truck coming to her house every 30 minutes every day for the rest of her life. This is Tumblr tag searches. This is a great way to get started. If you have an author that you think doesn't have an online community or doesn't have a fan base, go search them in the Tumblr tags and see what you find. I promise you there'll be all kinds of exciting things. And then these are some of the humor Tumblrs. The culture, again, is very like mashup-y, pop culture-y. This is Slaughterhouse 90210, which is literary quotes with television screen caps. Better book titles is exactly what it sounds like. Last night's reading is magic marker illustrations of author readings with her favorite quotes. This is someone who started out as like a fan artist of literary writers and now has a huge fan base of her own. Go Book Yourself, I think some of you are familiar with, just a really great reader's advisory, what should I read next kind of blog. I feel like you're stopping me, Porter. No, I'm not. Proofreading is cocktail recipes to go with different books. Often written in the voice of the writer, and then sometimes you'll see the writer not only reblog it, but make the cocktail themselves and post something about that. So it's just a very involved, passionate community of weirdos that I invite you to be part of. Lisa Simpson Book Club is just a catalog of every literary reference in the history of The Simpsons. Literary nail art's very big. Author ask interviews are popular. Wow, I'm running out of time. Okay, there are also a lot of books that began as Tumblr blogs and now are in print from major publishers. There are over 100 of them. I would love to talk more about Tumblr as a sourcing ground if you're interested. The Tumblr Book Club is something that I run that has a really passionate, creative audience. This was this one crazy thing that happened when one viral post of a book that had not begun on Tumblr like spiked the entire thing into a bestsellerdom. And it was like a crazy one-time short-term success that is super awesome, but also mostly not what we do. And most of it is more like this. This is a weird metaphor I enjoy. Katamari, the video game. It's this ball that rolls through the video game and stuff sticks to it and it gets bigger and bigger. And the bigger it gets, the bigger stuff can stick to it. So the bigger it gets. And to me, like, that is how an author or a publisher builds an online presence. It's like a few people coming in from each post, from each fandom, from each great success you have, and then there's a few more people for the next book and a few more people for the author's next success. And pretty soon you've built up a fan base so big people are stuck to it. I don't know. So this is a John quote, find a book's ideal readers, press the book into their hands, empower them to share it, and hope that they do. And that, I think, is what you really have the opportunity to do on Tumblr and on these kind of new online literary communities all the time. So I really hope you'll jump in. Thank you.